Alrighty. We've got Dukit versus Sykosloth coming up. Taking a look at the draft, we've got Dukit banning Redwoods, restricting Aquarium, doubling Veranda, picking Library, while Sykosloth is going to ban Gallery, decline to restrict, double Ballroom, and pick Aquarium. So Dukit picking two 5/8s and Psycho picking two 4/8s. So that's quite interesting. Um, Taking a look at some of the stats, Psycho is statistically a bit stronger on Ballroom, so not surprising that that was picked. Duckett has some very high win rates on Veranda all seasons, only 10 games, but 80% Sniper and 60% Spy, which seems quite high for Veranda. And Psycho has extremely high win percentages on Aquarium with 88% Sniper and Spy over 16 games, which seems kind of abnormally high. So a lot of this drafting here makes sense. It has a lot to do with kind of their strengths and their opponent's weaknesses. So nothing too surprising from the draft. They are finished with their first game, so we can head right in. We're going to be starting out on Veranda with Sykosloth on. Sorry. And let's see. See if we can swap these. There we go. Chasing down the seduction target for now. Lands in conversation, and Psycho on Sorry can be somewhat of a dangerous pick. It's a rather large venue. You have to get 5 out of 8 missions done, and you're one of the slowest characters in the game. I think probably like the second slowest next to Pearls, and they feel, relatively similar in speed nonetheless. So time ad may be in order. Maybe Psycho just plans on going for a frame. We'll kind of see. We'll see what develops, but picking Sorry can be a bit of a risk. It can also mean that the sniper may consider you less likely of a suspect because you're such a slow character. Nonetheless, Psycho heads in and steals briefcase, picking up their first fingerprint here. Meanwhile, Ducket's got a couple highlights, I believe, for statue visits, and no lowlights as of yet, playing a relatively safe sniper game here on Veranda. Um, Heads into the back to pick up first pair of inspects as well as a highlight. Steps in to the statue as our ST picks it up. Doesn't go for the cheeky flirt on pad with the ST, just decides to go ahead and step away as the seduction target picks it up. And at this point, Duckett's got 6 total highlights, I believe all statue touches. Psycho has got partial inspect, 34% on a flirt, 1 fingerprint, and only 2 minutes left. I think a time ad may be in order, or start putting their foot on the gas to get some more missions done. Looks like we're going to head into the statue that our seduction target had just set down. Doesn't look like a swap is going to be in order, as it should have happened within the first cycle. Sykosloth completing inspects. Likely heading into conversation with the seduction target here to try and land a green, as we're getting a little pressed on time. Lands the green test on the seduction, up to 85%. And again, we're a bit behind on pacing, and we're running into a point in time where a time ad is going to be rather suspicious. If we wanted to get a time ad through, it should have been with more than 60 seconds left. However, we do go for a green purloin and we bail, leaving the scene of the crime. Let's see if we get another reject. Our seduction target also rejects, so the chain getting a little bit longer here. Over to Disney, who's also a highlight, and Sykosloth is now away from where this is about to happen. Purloin goes off. Duckett is not checking for the fade at all. Should be seeing it now as Toby crosses the front side of the venue. Sykosloth heading in for a time ad. likely while the sniper is distracted. I think finally zooming in on the guest list. Syko enters conversation with the double agent. Meanwhile, Ducket's going to take a shot onto Plane Twin, who they suspected took the list. So a bit of a delayed reaction to the guest list and ends up netting a civ shot. Likely what Syko is hoping for with such a late purloin. Yeah, I mean, shot the person that took it way later. So very delayed reaction. This is actually something that Syko could pick up on and go, hey, look, Duckett is weak to purloin on veranda. Let's try it again. Maybe it was just, just the one round, but it's definitely something that Syko should pick up on and see if they can abuse throughout the set. Kind of opponent discovery and mid-set adaptation, I think, is very important. And something that you can definitely utilize against your opponent in a best of 12 at least. Something that we've been discussing in the Discord a bit. So we'll see if Syko picks up on that. I play a lot with Syko. I've played a lot of casual games with him. He's gotten really good recently, for the past few months at least. And we've probably played a lot of veranda, so we'll see if it's paid off on his sniper games here, though Duckett and I probably play quite differently as Spy. Rotating around, checking for early swaps. Takes a couple highlights onto statue visitors. Meanwhile, Duckett has got a 47% flirt and a green book in hand. Ambassador's been moving around quite a bit, which has given Syko a little bit more of an opportunity to watch other people in the party. The Amba hasn't been in danger for a bit, except for reverse drive-bys. Very full party on the left side. It's a time that you would suspect a purloin because it's so full, so you can either go for that purloin or Duckett could go over to blue since the sniper's probably not going to be watching much of what's going on, especially once the ambassador leaves that blue bookcase. But for now, Duckett's going to elect to stay in the back conversation there and just work on flirt. Very slow-paced start here from Duckett. Gets flirt up to 79. Needs to hurry up and get rid of that book and start working on some other missions, as we're at about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. We're going to need to start doing a lot more, or we're going to need to time add. And I think at this point Syko has more highlights than neutral lights, so the highlight losing a bit of its effect here. Yeah, we're bringing down a couple people, likely for inactivity. Duckett goes for the time ad, is a green. And Syko lowlights Duckett, yes, thinks better of it, brings him back up. I was wondering if that was going to happen because he didn't rotate after the lowlight. He kind of stopped and thought about it for a moment. And are we seeing a reaction to the green time ad? I think this is a reaction to the green time ad. I can't think of a reason we'd see so many other lowlights. Unless Syko feels that he's way behind and wants to take some speculative kind of lowlights there. But I have a feeling it's for the time ad. Has the party narrowed down to 6, and we're one of 2 highlights as Duckett, so we're in a fairly dangerous position. I think here Syko needs to be careful about laser burning Duckett as the spy, because in this position you want Duckett to reveal themselves, so let him be free, give him a false sense of security, put the laser elsewhere, and just watch him out of the corner of your eye. You can also camp him and just count his missions, but I mean, if I'm Syko here, I'd maybe be worried that I missed something, and so I don't want to rely on having to count 5. But just based on the laser play here, it looks like Duckett is the top suspect. Syko not really rotating around to watch Rocker that much, though there's not a need as the ambassador's not over there. Here goes for real contact. We're going to knock Alice out, who is one of the suspects. And Syko's ready to take the shot. Shoots Duckett, who has real contact. I don't think there was an SDA in Rocker's conversation, so Um, yeah, Duckett, I think, in this position just didn't realize how high of a suspect he was, so he just goes for a clean contact and ends up getting shot for it. Do I have the score right? Who won that first round? Whoops. What happened the first round? My memory is terrible when I'm casting. I have Psycho loading his queen. Goes for a green purloin right off the bat. I love it. Sniper missed shot first round? Okay. Thank you. Green purloin pending, and again, as we were talking about earlier, that's right. The reason that he missed shot was because of the purloin, and I was mentioning, is Psycho going to pick up on this fact and try to abuse purloin since Duckett's reaction was so delayed? And here we go. We've got Psycho starting off with the green purloin that I don't even think has been noticed yet. Duckett still taking statue highlights. No lowlights have come off. The list clearly visibly gone from the tray as Tex takes there. Now, when you're in a position here as Duckett, the initial reaction when you're learning this game is, let me lowlight a bunch of people. But if you miss a purloin, often you end up lowlighting the spy when you do that. So sometimes you kind of just go, all right, it's a 4 of 8 game now. They have purloin. I'm not going to take lowlights in case I'm wrong about it. Because I missed it, they could have done any number of different things. So may not be wanting to risk the lowlights and is just going to play it as a 4 of 8 venue. All the while, Psycho picked up 2 inspects, grabbed a highlight for going to statues, but has also worked on flirt up to 93%, now steps into the front right statues to finish out the inspect mission. Yeah, 4 of 8 veranda is not that bad. Not that hard for Sniper to come back on. Psycho steps into conversation with the seduction target here in the front. Throws out the flirt into stop talk and is now at 3 missions complete with 2 minutes and 15 seconds on the board. We've got 2 of the soft tells out of the way, so we've got to get contact, which will be 4th mission, and our 5th mission is going to be the hard one. If you're Psycho here, what you want to do is save contact for last. You want to go get your hard tell, whether it be swap, transfer, bug, or maybe start working on fingerprint, and make contact your last mission. Because having inspects complete and contact on the board, you're going to be watched. The sniper's going to be watching that person, and they're going to have a very hard time getting anything through. Yeah, we had a reverse drive-by attempt outside, and we were a little too far from it. Taking a red book out, which ends up being innocent. There's no fingerprint or anything on it, so I imagine this is going to lead into a microfilm play. It actually ends up being innocent, so Psycho feeling that they need to do a little bit of active idling and try to lower their suspicion before going for their hard tell. But Psycho's got to hurry up. We're running out of time. We've got 1 minute and 10 left. Probably going to step in for contact. Ends up missing the conversation pad because Irish steals the spot. Works out okay. Ambassador's going to be heading into green, which means we are in a decent position for a reverse drive-by if the Ambassador blesses us with going around that side of the conversation circle. Let's actually take a look at Sniper. We can get ready for this. See if this will be on screen. Want to try and get both perspectives as this lines up, but we might have to switch if he rotates. Ambassador doesn't help us out, ends up going the other way. No opportunity for a reverse drive-by, and we're now at 30 seconds left on the clock. There is a fingerprint, I believe, on green, but that's only 1 of 2, and I don't know where the briefcase is. Briefcase is being returned by Seek, so 20 seconds left. We might be committing to a timeout. I think Psycho should try to make a move here. Maybe crash bug. Not from this direction, though. Oh, and we go for a purse side bug right past Ambassador, but it is caught by Duckett. I also didn't notice that General was our ST. So Duckett with the good catch on the bug. Let's take a look at it from the sniper side here. Probably pretty obvious. Psycho just kind of hoping a little bit there. Yeah, sees the snap, and I think from right here we don't have the... Since Purloin is off, Like, bug at the end of the round here, when the time is ticking down, is not too terrible, especially if you don't have any other options, because the sniper is usually also having to watch Purloin, is usually also having to watch Swap, but in this particular case, Purloin's already gone, so the sniper doesn't have to watch this, and there's nobody at statues. So from Ducat's POV, there's one thing that he really has to be watching, and it is for this bug. So unfortunate for Sykosloth that the party just not paying him favors there, and a little bit of some pacing issues just put him in that position. I think maybe with that red book he should have tried to transfer it rather than forcing himself to go for a late game bug. Let's see if Duckett can bring it back to 2-2 before exiting this venue as Plane Twin. Starts out at the front of the venue, idling at the windows, heads back over towards Green Book and does the same. Is requesting a drink behind this back conversation. Looks like it's going to be an early Purloin. Kind of throwing it back at Syko to see if he can handle it. It is a green, and Duckett leaves the scene of the crime. So we are seen walking away. I think we get another reject, but it might have been to an SDA there. Bling Twin ends up rejecting. So the chain is going on a bit long here. I have a feeling we're going to be in a very similar position where Psycho Sniper is going to have to play Veranda 4-8. Goes to zoom in to highlight Oprah, and at that point is likely realizing that the guest list is gone. Taking a look at who has a drink in that conversation is going to highlight the people that have drinks. Oof. Takes a shot onto Irish. A bit premature. That's a position where showing a little bit of patience probably would have paid off. There's no reason to go for a shot here at this point. I mean, there's reasons, but it's a little hasty to go for a shot at this point because you can, if you think it's Irish, just watch Iris and see if she does 4 other missions. You know, some reasons that you would want to go for something like this is sending a message to your opponent, trying to build some type of momentum, you know, showing them that you're so sure that they're afraid when they go into their next rounds. Unfortunately, Psycho ends up being wrong and exits Veranda 2-2. Let's pull up the picks and bans for those that are late to join. So that was Duckett's double. So going 2-2 on your opponent's double is great. You know, as long as you're not going down, that's fantastic. Obviously, you know, going 4-0 or something like that would be better, but going 2-2, you don't hate it. So next we're going to be heading into Ballroom, where I believe, as I was looking earlier, Psycho has better statistical win percentages than Duckett. So we'll see how it pans out here. Okay, thought my game crashed. Psycho loading in as Bling Twin, I think that is. Yeah, I don't think Psycho caught the leave on the reject in that last round. I think he was distracted by the statues and everything else going on the other side of the venue. This round, Psycho steps into conversation with the seduction target, picks up a flirt for 41%, while Duckett highlights Kane, who went to back statues early. Now to front window to check watch. So we've seen Purloin work very well for Psycho 2 spy games in a row now. I think we're likely to see him utilize it again. Psycho steps out of conversation to let the flirt cooldown expire. Heads back in, lands a green test up to 92%. One more flirt from just about anywhere will finish it out. So at this point, Psycho is likely to head in and work on some other missions. Seduction target, meanwhile, steps into back statue center. Picks up a highlight from Duckett. We're going to chase our ST to the statues, back left side, to pick up a seduce while our ST is inspecting, and then pick up an inspect for ourselves. Meanwhile, General's going to pick up briefcase. Dukit watching the ambassador over at the green books, and Syko's going to go statue to statue over to the left side center. Finishes that inspect. I anticipate a contact into Purloin. Syko going to repath onto the statue next to him. Takes it up. I think this is just to lower suspicion. I don't think we're going to get a swap out of this. We do go for the swap. It's a green swap pending. Trying to switch positions to throw off the sniper by going to the statue next to him. I'd love to see a silent game here. Silent game on Ballroom, extremely strong. Either going silent or going statueless. Steps into conversation with the ambassador, does an instant talk. Trying to look not suspicious over here. All the while, Wheels picks up the statue, swaps for us. Oprah and Mom are at that front window, kind of obscuring the vision a little bit. We see Dukit rotate back around, is thinking about shooting Bling Twin, but might be waiting for a fourth mission. Starts taking a lot of lowlights. However, there are still 6 highlights. Syko in a position where he's going to have to force something through. He's not pacing this out well. Jumps into conversation, requests a drink from Toby as the double agent is not in convo. Toby taking forever. He's going to have to instantly Purloin. He goes for a green BB instead of the Purloin. Takes a drink. We hit overtime and Dukit takes a shot. Good timing to land a green BB, because if that was white, that probably wouldn't have worked. You probably would have timed out. Unfortunately, Dukit is on top of it and takes the shot onto Bling Twin, so probably suspicious, quite suspicious of him for the swap, obviously. So good mission tracking by Dukit, good hardtail tracking on the swap there, and picks up the point. Heading in 3-2 with Dukit on Spy as Salmon. Dukit's going to head into conversation with Oprah as the seduction target in the front left of the venue to get the first flirt for 34%. Just going to hang out in conversation, work on a timer flirt. Not much of a reason to leave unless our ST does. If we can get some coverage on the left side of Dukit here, we might be able to get a reverse drive-by if the ambassador wants to help us and go through where Smallman just went through. But I don't think we have enough cover quite yet. We need someone in between Disney and Salmon for that to work out. Picking up the next flirt up to 68%. Syko zooming in, looking for bugs. And it looks like Dukit's going to go for another timer flirt. That can definitely create some pacing issues here. As long as Dukit is aware of that and is ready to do a lot of missions very fast towards the end, it can work out. Ambassador does take the reverse drive-by path, but Dukit elects not to go for it. Instead, just hanging out in conversation with our ST, hoping to finish up flirt. White action test. Flirt now complete, 1:35 on the clock. We've got to get a lot done. Dukit now heading into back center statues, realizing he needs to press on the gas here and get quite a bit done. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a swap. However, Dukit's now entering the second animation cycle, which means swapping if seen. If it's a white swap and it's seen, it's kind of a hard tell. You got to swap within the first animation cycle. So it just picks up the double inspect, heads to one of the conversations by themselves to sit through an idle animation cycle, trying to lower their suspicion after taking a mid statue at the time that they did. Goes for a walking bug that's very obvious and zoomed in on. However, Syko doesn't seem to have seen it, ends up going for a camera shake back and forth out of frustration. Um, I think Syko is probably worried that Dukit has more mission progress than they actually have and thinks that he's about to lose. This is where, and here we go with a fake contact.
And in the red.
This might induce a Sif shot, especially after the frustration from Syko. You would only do that if you fell behind. However, despite the camera shake, despite it being a fake contact, somehow Syko finds the right shot. That's very interesting. Very interesting shot from Syko. I wonder if the camera shake wasn't out of frustration, but that's definitely how I read that kind of shake. I mean, it was, it was like the back and forth, kind of no type thing. And I don't know, if he wanted to show the camera that he had suspicion of salmon, he probably would have safety off toggled. So yeah, very, very bizarre. I think that maybe Syko thought that this DA, that Irish was in conversation the whole time and then just sees him talking after. So it could be like a delayed real BB in their mind. Nonetheless, Syko picks up the shot. T-Flame saying in chat he thinks the bug was seen. I don't think that that bug was seen. He would have just shot. Maybe he just wasn't sure about it. Nonetheless, we'll have Syko heading in as Irish on round number 7 here. We're currently tied 3-3. Let's see if Syko can pull off a mission win on Ballroom. It is their doubled venue, so they're hoping to take a lead here and gain an edge, which is typically done by getting a spy win. We're going to go for a walking bug just shortly after the time of chaos here. The path is a bit obvious, but the hand doesn't stick out too much. Dukit so far is not reacting to it. However, thus far, Dukit doesn't seem to always react to something that's visible to us spectators. Sometimes we'll know if he saw it at the end of the match, if he ends up taking a shot that just kind of looks like it's out of nowhere. Got 46% of a flirt. We are going to join the front right conversation with the double agent. However, they end up bailing before we're able to get a contact. Conversations are pretty full. 3 different conversations, relatively well distributed, but the DA leaves. Now is a good time for contact, so the sniper can glean some information from this, that Boots is the real double agent, or that the spy is not Disney. And with no one headed over to Disney, General, to set up for a contact, it's probably true that Boots is just the real double agent. Meanwhile, Sykosloth has picked up another flirt, total of 97%, heads in for a briefcase, grabs fingerprint, heads for the delivery on the other side of the venue, stops short behind pillar and is going to set it down. We'll find our ST at one of the back painting pads. You've got Queen staring down her man. We'll join her and finish out flirt. And a soft tail finish may be a road to victory here for Syko if they can find another fingerprint and then just visit center statues. Ends up going for a white contact. Conversations are pretty full. It's a fairly good contact. Dukit throwing out some lowlights. Ambassador heads into a conversation off to our left, drops down briefcase, and I think their space is invaded, so Ambassador now leaving that briefcase open, which means that Syko could go for it. Double briefcase on one round of balcony can be a bit dangerous. Instead, they're going to head into the green books where I think the Ambassador just dropped one off. It is a bit of a chase, and Dukit is going to punish Syko for chasing down that fingerprint so hard. So Syko could glean here that he needs to let the fingerprints cook. Against a good sniper, you can't really chase down fingerprints shortly after they are left because you're just going to get shot for it. So great mission tracking by Dukit. Had to have been suspicious of the bug there. Had good tracking on the fingerprints. Wasn't overemphasizing how strong statues are because this game Syko didn't get statues at all. and Duckit was still able to mission track and take the shot. Let's watch this bug again. So very much a bug path, especially curving in and going around the right side of text there. Looked a little wonky. So let's see if we can Syko trying to at least stay tied here on, I believe, the last round of Ballroom, with Duckit coming in as Disney. Good party layout for Duckit here, as we've got a lot of full conversations providing a bit of obscurity, and we've got a couple characters going in for statues. Duckit, however, not being patient and waiting for Irish to rejoin a conversation before going for contact. They did go for an early statue visit. However, the reason that the contact was let off was to cover for the fact that we went for a purloin, which I also missed. And I think Syko missed as well. Duckit then takes an innocent drink post-purloin, trying to lower their suspicion level in case they need to. And Duckit, in a very good position here, has contact and purloin done, 34% of a flirt, and I don't think that he's a suspect for the purloin. Now, if you're Duckit here, I think you need to get inspects done as soon as possible. If you try to rush for inspects sub 1 minute, you're probably going to have a lot of suspicion on you. If you can get inspects done now, that means you can finish the game with flirt, which is much harder for the sniper to track. Instead, Duckit's going to go for their next flirt. Joins Queen, but does space it out, puts a character between the two of them, and waits to talk. So Duckit might be worried that he's under more suspicion than he actually is, as he's playing very safe, especially for a neutral light. And that's a large part of spy play in this game, is being able to assess your suspicion level of, and there's a few ways that you can do that, looking at the sniper's laser movement, looking at their reactions. And that can usually dictate how the spy ends up playing. We see a little bit of camera frustration, shake from Syko again. That is Mom's second statue visit. She did go mid, but there was a few characters on her side, so Syko just worried that he missed too much there, especially if Mom had been done with flirt, and Mom was finishing up inspect, so he takes a shot. So Duckit making the correct decision to not finish up inspects sub 1 minute, because he probably also would have gotten shot. There's a camera shake there. It was small. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it again. It's towards the end here. He shook it back and forth. Right there. So we've got Duckit in the lead, heading in 5-3 over to Library. I'll pull up the picks and bans. This is going to be Duckit's pick. So Syko needs to make some things happen here. Duckit picking the very safe venues, and with a lead here, all he's got to do is hold serve on Sniper, which is a pretty easy thing to do, especially on Library. Both of these players abusing purloin, early purloins against one another. We'll see how the gameplay develops as they head into the second half of this set here. Goes for an early seduce. ST ends up bailing. Takes a suspicious bug path, but I'm not sure that they're going to receive any suspicion for it. It was being stared down. Goes for an early purloin again. It's white. We're in the back behind one of the pillars at the good time ad spot. We're holding a drink, and we do go for the gulp. We pick up a highlight for it. And we've got to be careful. We can't rush anything down. Hopefully we felt that laser. We're going to go for a flirt, 34%. We did talk within like the first 7 seconds, which worries me that Syko is not assessing his own suspicion level accurately. And for now, we're just kind of timer flirting. Decent move. Syko going for some active idling in case they are suspected for the purloin here. And there's just not much of a reason to leave. We've got two valuable people in this conversation with us, the seduction target and the double agent. Syko looking around a bit, probably assessing if now's a good time for a contact. And again, the seduction target bails on us when we go for our flirt. This is probably going to be a bit tilting to Syko. Hopefully he doesn't let it get to his head. We go for the real BB, and we cut out too early, resulting in a cough. I believe it's off screen as the laser was on the other side. And it was a pretty decent split. We're at the window when the sniper finally looks over. Taking a look at sniper side, that did result in about half of the party being low lit. We're going to go for a walking bug, and Dukit is on top of it. May have even been looking away to bait Syko into going for that bug. The cough, very unfortunate. However, that does mean that Dukit is going to pick up one marble, has one SCL point, and Syko needs to win the next 3 rounds to result the set in a tie. And it's still possible. Winning a sniper round on library is not easy, but it's also easier than a lot of other venues. Spies get to complete a lot of missions, so if they can just play patiently and not let the last couple rounds get to their head, they have a shot at bringing this back. Especially with the last venue, I think it was Aquarium. They have very high win percentages on Aquarium, and Dukit does not have a lot of games played on Aquarium and SCL, and their percentages are not that great. Dukit going for contact as first mission is rather interesting. It is going to let off a low light on 2 statue visitors, which is very helpful for Syko here. Ends up taking a highlight onto our seduction target Bling Twin, who is in conversation with an SDA. Does the same for Smallman, but does not do the same for the conversation on the far left where the actual banana bread happened. Waiter offering drink in the corner, and we end up walking away. We don't go for the purloin. We step into statues, which nets us a highlight as well. Working on these other missions rather than flirt does allow us a bit of a mix-up. That means that we can work on flirt kind of mid to late game, and it's a little bit harder for the sniper to catch. So we're gonna gain a lot of suspicion here in the early game by doing a bunch of missions, but then we're likely to lose a bit of it by just hanging out and flirting with our ST, especially if the ST doesn't leave and we can just do 1 or even 2 timer flirts. It gives us a bit of a mix-up. I mean, a typical game of SpyParty is the spy works on flirt, works on some soft tells, then does, contact and or some hard tells. So this is a bit unexpected from the sniper's perspective here. Dukit ends up leaving conversation to let the flirt cooldown expire, jumps over to yellow books, grabs a fingerprint. A difficult fingerprint, misses the action test. Syko just needs to remain patient here. There's been no swap, there's been no purloin. Dukit returns to conversation next to the seduction target in the same position. Waits a little bit before flirting. Lands a white test up to 68%. Yeah, and I didn't mention the scoring prior to this round. Pull it up here real quick. Currently, Sykosloth is 6-1-1, and Dukit is 5-2-1, 13 points to 11 points. So if Dukit can manage to win this, he will then tie Syko in the league so far. So this is huge for Dukit if they can manage to pull off this win. They end up finishing fingerprint here, and they stutter on the banister as they go for the briefcase return. Syko watches it, but decides not to shoot. I'm thinking that he may have suspicion on Duckett for this move. And that is a mistake by Duckett. I don't believe he meant to do that. Goes for a green time ad the time ad window. Enters into conversation next to the seduction target. Is going to throw out flirt and finish the deuce. Now has 3 of 5 missions done. 3.5 of 5 missions done with 1:14 on the clock. Inspect swap is a realistic option here. One that we're possibly likely to see, though it is a pretty big gamble. Beeps are slower, so Syko should be recognizing that a green time ad has happened. Spy steps into center statue. And Syko lines up the shot, doesn't even wait for the swap, just shoots Duckett for finishing inspect there. Likely had the fingerprint tracking if he's willing to take a shot on just contact seduce and inspect. That means that they probably had the fingerprint track. So that's going to put us in a 6-4 scenario. The match is over. Escape to lobby. They probably remade. They did remake. Hopefully I'm not missing it. Yeah, a bit of a sliding there. Current bug that we have in the game client that happens, I wouldn't say too often. Dev is working on a fix. Or has a fix or something of that nature. Anyways, heading into the last venue, which is going to be Aquarium. We'll take a look at some of the stats while we wait for them to play, hopefully their first game and not their second. Duckett is currently played 2 games in all of SCL on Aquarium and is 0% Spy, 100% Sniper. And Sykosloth in all of SCL has played 16 games with 88% Spy, 88% Sniper. They've picked the venue 6 times, and Duckett has banned the venue 6 times, never picked it. So it's obviously a large favorite from Syko. They have very good performance on it, and a venue that Duckett is inexperienced and or doesn't like. And 88 and 88 seems like really good stats. Let me take a look at some of the other divisions or just the totals. In bronze, it's currently under 77 games all time. It's a 55 sniper, 45 spy. Yeah, 88 and 88 is just very high for all divisions. I mean, there's no division where the aggregate is higher or even close to 88%. So obviously very good at Aquarium. Syko here hoping that that plays into his favor and can get a tie, and they'll each get 1 point, which means that Syko will maintain his lead over Duckett and will tie for first place with Magic Doer. And then after that, let's see, has Syko played Magic Doer? He has, okay. After that, Syko plays a few people that are lower in the rankings, one person who is actually right under him. So if he can manage to do that, and ahead of Duckett, he's still got to face some people that are more in the middle. So Syko really needs to get this tie to maintain his lead over Duckett and to possibly take first place in the division. Interesting that both of these players have been abusing Purloin. I definitely expected it from Syko's Spy after that Civ shot by Duckett, but it looks like Syko may also be weak to some of these early Purloins. So they're really kind of just giving each other a taste of their own medicine. It's like, oh, you're gonna early Purloin? Okay, I'll early Purloin and see if you can deal with it. But Duckett's sniper has just been he's just really been catching everything. Even when it doesn't seem like he's caught stuff, he wraps it up at the end of the round and ends up getting the correct shot. I'm actually a bit worried that I may have missed their first game because Library is such a long round, and this round has been going so long, that means that their first round of Aquarium would have to be going for a really long time. So I may actually wait a moment and see. Okay, I have a PM from Psycho. They restarted it at 3:01. So I don't know which round this is. If someone in game, since this round just finished, if it's over, they will leave the match, right? Because they finished the last round. If it's not over, then they're still in it. So can someone either DM me or say in Twitch chat right now, like they're still in the lobby together? Because if they're still in the lobby together, unless they're doing it to, let me just, I don't want to DM him mid-set. He's on Do Not Disturb, but I may have missed first round. Are you done or still playing? Just want to double check, because I definitely don't want to play the second round as if it's the first, because that would really mess up. If he doesn't respond in like 40 seconds, 30 seconds, then I'm just going to play it and assume that it's the first, because if he's not responding, then he's probably still playing. Yeah, he's not responding, so I'll delete the message, and we'll load up this round. And cross our fingers. Let's go, boys. Oh, I guess we would be able to tell, hold on, who's first sniper? First sniper is Dukit, and this is Psycho. So, oh, we could have just figured that out. So we're good. Psycho starting his first spy on each of the games here. Starts in the front of the venue. Heads to the center conversation alone to do a bit of active idling. Currently behind Shark, see if we'll utilize it to our advantage. It's not going to. Just heads into green books with the ambassador to pick up fingerprint as they drop it off. Could finish fingerprint by grabbing this briefcase, however, I think that would be a bit of a red flag. We may see Psycho just read for long enough for someone else to come take the briefcase. However, they're going to put it away and go for the fingerprint finish off the bat. Now, we did see Dukit punish Psycho on the ballroom game when he was playing Irish for chasing down a fingerprint, and Psycho has now just done another fingerprint chase down. Does a little bit of a redirect as the ambassador lands on pad. I'm not sure that was necessary, but probably going to go unnoticed. Snuggles up next to Mom to pick up the first flirt for 51%. I think Shark is going to be coming down bottom again. Wasn't keeping track, but Ambassador leaves the book, so we don't have an opportunity for Bug. Shark's along bottom. We could walk with Shark and grab Bug here. Psycho's perspective, he's not checking out the Shark, but this is a free Bug if we wanted to take it. Ends up going for a real contact. Conversations are pretty full. Both of the SDAs are in convo. It is a white. Dukit is prioritizing lowlights. Takes 2 so far. Watching for any kind of Shark play. Seeing if he can notice anyone going for a Bug behind it. Takes a third lowlight. Psycho just idling a bit here in the front right conversation. Rejoins front left conversation with the seduction target, hoping to finish up flirt, and is in a pretty good position to win with 3 missions done. 4th mission is going to be very telling here. Finishes off flirt. He's got 3 or 4 missions done with 1:10 on the clock. I wonder if we'll see Psycho abuse Purloin against Dukit here again. Psycho also has the option to wait for a low Shark and just go for an in-conversation Bug covered by Shark. However, the ambassador ends up leaving conversation, likely to go return the book. We're a bit obligated to take this briefcase, but obviously with fingerprint done, Psycho's not going to go for it. 40 seconds left on the clock. He needs to start making a move for what his last mission is going to be. It's too late for Inspect, which means it's going to have to be Bug, Swap, or Purloin. Could go for a Pofke transfer and walk with Shark from one bookcase to the other. Psycho needs to start acting here. This is an opportunity for a Pofke transfer, as I believe the Shark is going to have to go back to the left again. Ends up heading into statues, which means we're likely to see a swap. The swap is going to be covered by the Shark, and I believe he's going to go for a Shark walk. It's a little bit early, and he ends up taking a shot. Quick by Duckett, snaps over and takes it. What Psycho was hoping to do there was if he went a little bit later, the Shark was going to come out from the left side and then go to the right, and you can just walk behind the Shark and not be shot. But mistimes it a little bit, and Duckett is on top of it. That's what we've seen develop in the aquarium meta, is looking for setups where they're going to be completing and utilizing Shark, and you have to take the shot before they reach that point. So it's a bit telling for someone to go over to the statue, with 15 seconds left and the Shark covering it and going in that direction. So nonetheless, Duckett plays a really sharp sniper game all throughout, ends up winning 7-4 over Sykosloth, which means in the standings, that's going to put Duckett at 13 points, tying Psycho for second place behind Magic Doer, who's currently at 14. I guess, can I pull up the standings from here? No, I don't have that loaded. Yeah, good game by both. A bit of a slip up by Psycho on a couple of the rounds, just with some pacing issues on some of those larger venues, and Duckett just playing a really solid sniper. So, nonetheless, congratulations to Duckett for grabbing 2 points, and I think we have another stream starting. I think there's another match starting, or if it hasn't started already. Let me take a look. Yeah, Corvus is streaming Paratroopa and Monopoly Man starting now. So we're going to go ahead and host Corvus, and I am going to go watch that match and see if Monopoly Man can pull out a win. Until next time.